Okay, I think people have revelations wrong. At end times, when there are things happening, it's not a physical end. There is no physical end to the earth in our lifetime, in even the next million years. Earth continues to move on. It's a school, it's a place, um, it's a world. It's something that allows us to experience contrast and go through the process of um, free will and choice and make those decisions and learn about ourselves from new perspectives. What Jesus was teaching was the end times in terms of the new world and the old one. So what's happening is, if you know anything about the new earth, there's an earth split. It's natural. It's happening, but it's a consciousness split. So what's happening is you have the old world essentially merging and staying the same, but going down a darker path. And depending on your alignment, whether it's fear based or not, you will either go on the old world or the new world. And the new world isn't like it's splitting in two. There's not a physical sense of, oh, the earth is splitting. No, what's happening is Jesus is coming back in the form of Christ consciousness. And so we're beginning to see it. I mean, it's been playing out for a long time, but in Revelations, things are happening, and we're seeing fear-based programming come to the surface. We're seeing all the evil. We're seeing the behind-the-scenes things, and those things are necessary to see, because we have to choose how we want the world to move forward. We want it to move forward in a positive way. We want to be part of love. We want to build new systems. Our systems are outdated. All of that stuff is occurring. And so what's happening is people are coming to the understanding and realization that, hey, I'm God. I'm a piece of the divine. I am part of the whole. And you're here experiencing all this stuff, and you're awakening to that idea. And so you're gaining your power back. You're taking your power back, because that is what happens when we start to get in tune with, we all have our own individual spiritual beliefs and things, and some people are religious and some people aren't, and there's all of those things, but part of it comes back down to consciousness and programming. And so the old world is fear based. It's looking at things from a negative perspective and going back to the status quo. So we know that Hollywood has pedophiles. We know that governments have corruption. We know that all of these things exist, and they won't cease to exist in the same sense. In the old world, they will, because what's going to happen is the old world will continue with the status quo and will sweep it under the rug, and it will go back to what it is, and it'll be war and fighting and all that stuff still. Now, the new earth will still have war and fighting. It still has to exist as a level of contrast. But what's happening is the earth's consciousness is also upgrading for the new earth. So it still has to exist as a contrast, but now is everyone will be learning that they are connected to God. They are a part of the divine. They do have an oversoul. They do have we are connected still. We're conscious, and we never die. But and so those things won't happen to the extreme effects. So if you're on the new earth train of thought, you're starting to see all that negative and being like, I don't want that. I don't want to choose that. And you'll still see it, because what happens is, even if you're, so think about ice, like you're on two sides of ice and it's splitting. And so say you're my finger and not the thumb. So the thumb stays the same and the finger slowly drifts away, but it sees everything happening, right? You're standing on my finger, and you're still seeing the old world. You're still seeing everything happening, but you're rising up. Maybe it's better like this. You're rising up. And so that's kind of what's happening is as you're on this new understanding, you can still keep your religious beliefs. They help a lot, but you just have to integrate the new ones. You have to understand that you don't die, and so the negative portion, like, you die, and we all die, but you have to understand that your soul doesn't die. It just changes forms. It's energy. It doesn't leave. It's always here. You're in spirit right now. All you've done is you're this big, powerful consciousness, and you've shrunken down to, essentially this, your thumb. So imagine your whole consciousness is the size of your body, and you're seeing it from your thumb's perspective. That's all you are right now, is in Earth, and you've forgotten that you're the thumb on the entire being. And so going through this process is us all awakening, and the great awakening, the great Jesus coming back, the return of Christ consciousness, things that he was teaching and other great people were teaching from the time. And again, you'll still have contrast. You still have to have the ability to choose to do negative, because when you're doing negative, you're learning, or you're teaching, or you're understanding, because you all have to experience that. You get to experience that from the other side too. So every time you hurt somebody, or you intentionally, all of those things you have to experience again. That's part of your life review. So then you can understand it from the other perspective. But you're just doing it to yourself at the end of the day. And so that's the beauty of it all, because as we understand that, what we're doing is we're opening our awareness up, because we're really dense right now. Realities work on density. And so we're really heavy. We're physical. We're physical beings. And this is very dense energy. There are other places that are more dense. We're not going to go into that. But the Earth is the intersection of all of the capacities. Because if you're in a more dense place, in a more, quote unquote evil place, or heavier negative place, those things, you don't have the same capacity to do good. So it's like, that's why Earth is so important. That's why Earth is such a graduating school, if you will. You're a master graduating class, as it's been described. And so essentially what's happening is we're here, and we're feeling all this stuff, but this is part of our evolution too, because part of our spiritual evolution, interdimensional beings and aliens and all those types of things exist, but they can't communicate with us the same way, because we aren't at that consciousness level. Because to be at that level, you have to understand that hurting something, you're just hurting yourself. You are here to experience life, experience this perspective of yourself. You are God experiencing itself. You are the feminine, the bride of Christ. You're going out and you're experiencing physical reality. So when you come back, you can take those lessons, and essentially you're just plugging your light back into the hole, and you've learned something, because we know everything. We know how everything exists. So before you come, you choose your parents, your lessons, all of those things, whatever you need to learn. And then when you're here, you decide. So as you're here and you learn this perspective, you go back, and then you get to say, hey, I knew all of these possibilities existed, infinite possibilities, infinite choices that I could have made. But here's what I actually did. Because when you have unlimited knowledge, God is unlimited knowledge. It has every awareness. But until you go out, and until you separate yourself from God, until you experience, forget the veil of forgetfulness when you come to Earth, that allows you to make free choices and have free will. So even though your soul knows every possible outcome that you could potentially go through, and every moment, and all the infinite ways that you could choose to express yourself, you don't actually know which one you're going to choose until you're here. Right? And so when you're here, that's what free will is, because yes, your oversoul knows everything, but it doesn't know which one you're going to choose. And it's trying to tell you, hey, this is the best path for you. Follow your joy, follow your excitement, follow your love, follow all of this stuff. But hey, you have these experiences happen, and you're like, I have a choice. I could do X, Y, A, B, D, K, any of them. I can make any decision right now. I can choose to make a video. I can choose not to. And that's just how it works. And so then what happens when you die, you go back and you take that now now you take that experience, and you combine it with the knowledge of everything that is, and you have the wisdom, because you're like, this is what I actually chose, right? Given the actual choice, I knew every outcome, I knew the answers to the test, but what did I choose? How did I choose to play? And so that's what life is. You're choosing how you want to play. And so with the new earth, we're just going to be understanding this stuff more. This stuff won't seem so foreign. Even the concept of me talking about this years ago, it would have been deemed as crazy. All of the stuff throughout history, there's been times where it's like, oh, planets revolve around the sun. That was deemed as crazy. Earth was thought to be the center of the universe, and so on and so forth. Now, again, as we understand all of these different things, all truths are true because they all exist in some form. So whether you're a flat earth or whatever it might be, that exists somewhere. So you're sensing that. You're sensing that understanding from somewhere. We have access to all information. But like it's the same thing. It's like it doesn't matter what side of the coin you flip on, whether it's politically left or right or understanding. It's like all truths are true on some extent. Whether it's the best is subjective, but your truth is still your truth. And so as we shift, as you go up to higher levels of consciousness, things will still happen. We'll be on the new earth, but it's not physically shifting, and you'll still see the old earth. You'll still see all that negative happening, but less and less and less will happen. And in the next 100 years, if you've upgraded, your family will be on the new timeline and all that stuff, and all the souls coming will be like, we're coming to an easier version. We're coming to the intersection of the new earth. They can still choose to go to the old earth because there's other things to do there, but there's other ways to learn, there's other things to do, but that's what's happening is they're splitting in two. So they're becoming, one's going to end up becoming more fear-based, and there's going to be more wars and more things happening, and one's becoming more consciousness-based. And so there is no right or wrong what you choose, but you choose through your vibration. You choose through your actions. You choose through your intention. You choose through how you are feeling inside. Are you doing the work? Are you doing the good things? You will naturally be on the path you were meant to be on. So don't fear. It's not like you're gonna, if you don't want to be on the old earth and all that shit, like you're not gonna be on it unless you actively like try to bring yourself down. Right? It's like you can't miss your appointment unless you're worried about missing your appointment. So don't worry. Don't worry. If you're in the consciousness train, if you're doing all the stuff right, if you care, if you truly care, you will not be on the old earth. But you will see reflections of it still. And so when you're seeing all this stuff happen, you might not be affected by it. You probably won't. And if you are affected by it, that just means that there's something there for you to learn. And it's not bad. You might not understand the full cycle of your journey. But again, in our lifetime, you're not going to see some big revelation. You're not going to see Jesus come down from the sky. But what you will see is you will see more people opening up to this. You will see more people understanding that they are connected beyond. All that's happening is the ancient teaching. I'm Native American, and those teachings that my tribe had, my clan, all of that knowledge is coming back. We all had that, we all lived that way. That's coming back, but in a new form for the new day and age. And so all that old wisdom, all the connection without the need for religion or fear-based programming or control, without those narratives. Now, again, there's lots of great things in religion and community and all that stuff, and I'm not saying jump out of it or that's bad or anything like that, but you have to be aware of what you are putting in your head. So if you're putting in fear-based conditioning and you're worried about this, that, and the other thing, well, then it's like that's something there to teach you that a belief is out of alignment. If you're getting anxiety from certain things, that is just telling you that a belief is out of alignment. It's like, is that what you truly believe, or is that what you've been taught in school, or is that what you've been taught at church? Is that what you've been taught by other people? Is that, what you've been shown by the media? Be super aware of what you're consuming, because what you consume is what comes out. What you put in is what comes out, right? So if you're eating all this garbage, you're going to poop all this garbage, and that's just the way it is, right? And then you're going to feel like garbage. And it's the same thing with your mind. If you're consuming all this garbage, if you're focused on all the negative in the news, and it's not to say you don't have to be aware. You can be aware, but stay removed from it emotionally. Allow yourself to view things without it becoming an emotional attachment. Don't identify yourself with the negative in the news. You can learn about the Jeffrey Epstein things, but do you really need to know about all the little intricate details of the horrors? No, we know those things happen, but you don't need to go into that unless obviously that's your job. But because unless you have to do something like that for there to be a specific outcome to help maybe some of those victims or whatever, you don't need to take that emotionally on. People have already dealt with that. People are still dealing with that. We don't want to repeat that crap. And so that's what I mean when it's like, be aware, put the good out, understand, but we are abundant and we are full of abundance, and the earth always heals and everything is always good. Everything is always good if that's what you believe. And I'm not like, that's not meant to be a naive statement. You know, the universe, the multiverse, God, everything in existence is abundance. And so just like how we have, we thought, oh, gold was limited. Well, there's freaking space rocks with crazy gold. There's ways that we can increase our water and redo things for AI. We can use different types of resources, and there's financial incentives for big companies to do that. Everything is abundant. Do not buy into fear, because when you buy into fear, now that's not to be naive, don't be naive, of course, like you have bills to pay, you have things to do, but at the same time, just don't get lost in the fear programming. Okay, we're meant to be full of life and see the possibilities and experience our best versions and our best versions of ourselves and our best life. And you do that through your energy. So if you're always consuming the negative, that's what you're going to get out. You are the sum of all the things that you consume. So if you're consuming, horror movies and all this shit all the time, that's what you're going to feel. That's what you're going to consume. That's what you're going to have that tension all the time. But if you're consuming love and light and self-growth and positive experiences and being aware, but detached emotionally, and you do what you can where you want to help. You don't have to help everything. It's like maybe you want to help homeless people or mental health or the planet or whatever it is. Like pick one lane and do what you can with your community. If you're inspired to do more, then that's part of your journey. Go do that. But you aren't meant to save the world. But how you can help is by helping yourself. Make sure that you are in alignment and that you are alignment in listening to yourself and improving yourself, and then help your family, and then help your friends, and then help your community. It's step by step by step. That's how we get there. And don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. Be not afraid. That's how you step forward. That's how we move forward in a positive way. We see all the negative has come to light, but now we must move forward in a positive direction. How are we going to fix things? Let's not dwell. Let's heal. Let's move forward positively. Things are very complex. There's not one solution fits all. How can we work with the peoples of the land? How can we work with the peoples that are here? How can we work with people and create better systems? How can we make new trade systems, financial systems? How can we make better education systems? Let's start focusing on solutions and positive solutions, and that will work well. We can trial things in small groups and then scale it from there as it works. But we can't focus on all the negative. It's going to come to light more and more and more as things start splitting. And that's just what happens. And there is no judgment. I'm not passing any judgment on either side. With love, I find things, I find some things abhorrent and disgusting, and it makes me sad and emotional. And I'm not going to sit with that energy because I want to put an energy of positivity. We can, people deserve justice, and people also deserve compassion and love, for the victims. And, we don't need to sink to people's levels, but people can still be held accountable. How do you hold people accountable? Well, we can put them in jail. We can go after people. If we treat people the way that they've treated us, we become them. We become just as bad as them. And so we don't have to sink to anybody's level, but we can certainly hold people accountable, and we can certainly beat them on the scoreboard. And we beat them on the scoreboard by changing ourselves and by demanding new systems and by being better than they were, and even thanking them for the lessons so we can stop the sick twisted things that have gone on, and we move forward in a positive direction, and never allow these horrible things to happen again. And that's how we win. We don't win by getting angry and feeling all that, and it's like divine righteous justice. That's how we win. We win through changing the systems and by using those horrible things to make things better. We don't dwell on it, but we move forward with conviction, and we demand accountability, and then we move forward down a better path. And we take all of those things, and we see how they're all connected through multiple industries, through government, through everything, and we move forward in a positive way. And that all starts by fixing ourselves and by holding ourselves to good standards, and then by working with each other and building strong communities, and by moving forward in our areas of passion. Like, I might not be as passionate about the financial side as I am about the planet. If you're passionate about that, follow that. That's your calling, your life, your love. Like, follow what excites you, because it all is connected. And when you follow what excites you, when you follow these things, you are going to make the world a better place. But it starts by making yourself better, and it starts by understanding that you have the power, and we are never helpless. We are never ever helpless, and we have so much support, and you're not alone. Okay? Love you.